Psalm 142, please, if you just turn there. I actually had a totally different talk lined up, and then Pastor Alan gave his last night, and I was like, oh, actually, no, that reminds me of something. So I'm talking about that instead. It's another on the subject of translation, transliteration type stuff. So Psalm 142, let's get there first. A bit wobbly this one, isn't it? Now we sing this song. Verse 6 will start. Attend unto my cry, for I am brought very low. Deliver me from my persecutors, for they are stronger than I. Bring my soul out of prison, that I may praise thy name. The righteous shall compass me about, for thou shalt deal bountifully with me. And we sing that song, we brought my soul out of prison. But what does that mean? To bring your soul out of prison. The psalmist here used the word soul. And what does it actually mean? I can't be the only one who's sort of either sang the songs or looked through scriptures and gone, hang on, soul, what do we actually mean when we're saying that? And it may not mean what you think it means. We also sing some other songs and read some other scriptures that use the same word in a similar context. For instance, the song that Nicole sang last night, Turn Your Eyes Upon Jesus, the first line is, O soul, are you weary and troubled? As the deer pants for the waters, so my soul longs after you. Bless the Lord, O my soul, magnify his wonderful name. Lead me to some soul today, teach me what to say. And I think it's important to sort of understand the context and the meaning of what it is we're actually singing and saying. And when we do read these scriptures, to actually, well, what does it all mean, Basil, as Pastor Ryan always says. But yeah, so just a brief look at that, really. Because the word crops up in the Old Testament hundreds of times. And to be clear, we're specifically talking about the use of the word in the Old Testament, not the New. The New has a different word that it uses because it's written in Greek rather than Hebrew. But yeah, most people, if you sort of ask them, what does soul mean? What is a soul? They'll kind of go, oh, it's kind of like your essence or something. And it's based on the Greek/Norse concept that you have some immortal essence, like a human soul that's sort of like trapped in your physical body that gets released when you die, and that's why you have these things like the realm of Hades or Valhalla and stuff like that. And that's sort of what our English definition is tied to. It's tied to those things, the Greek or Roman mythology, or this. That's the concept that sort of the word soul calls to mind. But unfortunately, that couldn't be further from the Bible. That's not a biblical concept at all. In the Bible, and specifically the Old Testament, the word that this is being translated from is nephesh. And if you've got like a Strong's Concordance on your e-sword or pocket sword there, it's, I've got it on here, H315, I believe is the reference. H5315 is the reference if you want to look it up. But the most simple sort of meaning of it is quite the opposite of ethereal soul. It's actually body, like physical, like body. That's the most simple, easiest way of communicating what it means. It's your body. Yeah, there is more to it than that, as we'll see, but I'll back that up with some scriptures, shall I? So we'll turn to Numbers. Let's give it a moment. A long note. Here it is. Numbers chapter 11, specifically. In verses 6 and 7. Now this was after the children of Israel were brought out of Egypt, and I believe this was after Mount Sinai, but they were given the manna. This was when the manna was being fed to them, and they started complaining, and they said, oh, we missed the meat and the cucumbers and the melons that we had in Egypt, there in verse 6. And then they say, our souls are dried up. And the word it uses is nephesh. And they mean that they're feeling dry, their throats are dry and parched. That's what they're meaning. They're talking about their physical experience when they say that they're dried up. Another example is in Psalm 105. We'll turn there. In verse 18, we'll jump down to. And this is talking about Joseph when he was taken away by the Egyptians when he was sold into slavery. whose feet they hurt with fetters, he was laid in iron. And the word he is being translated from the same thing, nephesh, and it means his body was laid in iron. You don't put the ethereal sort of soul in iron, you can't. It's gas or something, who knows? But you can't do that, but you can put a body in iron. So when it says he was laid in iron, it's his nephesh was laid in iron, is what it is actually being translated from, which is this word we're looking at. Another example, we've got Numbers 19, and this is probably my strongest example, because it does literally use the word body. It actually outright states it. Numbers 19, verse 11. Kind of just blasting through a few examples just to show that this really is what it means. Numbers, there it is, 19 and verse 11. And this is laws for the children of Israel. This is part of Torah. He that toucheth the dead body of any man shall be unclean 7 days. And the word body, it's the same word, it's nephesh. So it's very clearly a physical thing. It's not some ethereal concept at all, really. And of course it does mean more than that as well, because the word body in English really just refers to our physical bodies, and you might say, oh, there's dead bodies. You don't rock up to a room and say, oh, there's 80 bodies in this room. No, you say there's 80 people in this room. So the English word body's got a bit of a different connotation, which I think is why the word soul was used in many translations. But if we turn to Genesis 36, you can see that nephesh gets used in many more broader contexts. Genesis 36, and in verse 6, we have Esau took his wives and his sons and his daughters and all the persons of his house and his cattle and his beasts and his substance, all that he'd got in the land of Canaan, and he went to the country from the face of his much superior brother Jacob, because he's got an awesome name. But the point here is it says wives and sons and daughters and the persons. And the word persons there is, yet again, the same word we're looking at. It's people, it's persons. You don't say, oh, and all the bodies of his house. It's a bit strange. So in English we wouldn't say that. There's less connotations tied to the word. But here, they're saying, a nephesh is a person. One more example of this is in Leviticus 19. And you don't necessarily have to turn there, but it says... Actually, we will, just so I can read it out. Leviticus 19. Was it verse 28? It was verse 28. And then here again, more laws for the children of Israel to follow. You shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks on you, I am the Lord. For the dead, those three words, all three of them are translated from a single word, which is nephesh. So you can see, once again, they're identifying these dead people. They're not just saying dead bodies. It's the people who have died, don't make cuttings in your flesh for them. It's very clear that nephesh actually means you. It's who you are, it's what you are, and it's a lot more than just necessarily just the physical function of your body. And it's a big departure from the concept we were talking about of that sort of Greek and Roman mythology idea of having some sort of ethereal soul that is in some way separate from your body. The word soul in the Bible doesn't refer to some part of human existence that survives death. It is your body. The Old Testament doesn't often refer to that kind of concept of like a spiritual separate part of man. It doesn't often talk about that, but when it doesn't use this word. It uses another word, which is ruach, which, once again, if you want to check out the concordance, is H7307. So soul in the Old Testament is actually more accurately translated as like me, or you, or my body, or a body, but more specifically it's about the people. And it's the complete physical human existence and everything that comes with it. So with that knowledge, with the idea that it's not just necessarily your body, or it's definitely not some ethereal thing, it is you and everything you are, your whole existence, your whole life, everything you do, what you're capable of. It represents all of that. And when we go back and sort of revisit some of the songs or scriptures, they take on new meaning. For instance, he brought my soul out of prison that I might praise thy name. It says, bring my nefesh out of prison that I might praise thy name. And the implication is with everything I have, because that is what your nefesh is. As the deer as well. Actually, let's turn there, Psalm 42, because the song changes the scripture a wee bit. It's worth looking at. Next time you sing it, you can think of this. Psalm 42, and it starts in verse 1 here. And hart, by the way, is a deer. It's just a different word for it. As the hart panteth after the water brooks, so panteth my nefesh after thee, O God. My nefesh thirsteth for God, for the living God. When shall I come and appear before God? The psalmist longs to stand before God with everything he has. And everything he has longs to be with God and be part of God. And that's what we're singing when we sing that song. We so very much desire to be, not just with the words we're saying or with our actions, but with all of our heart and all of our mind and all of our soul, the flesh. That's what the context of this is. And that's really what you're saying when you either sing these songs or read these scriptures, and it takes on a whole new meaning. And I just thought I'd like to share that, because it's always good to sort of get a bit more context about some of the things we read, and especially in my case, sing. I love singing, and sometimes when you sing something, you think, what am I actually saying? So it's good to know, and I'll leave that there.